founder of Shifties. I'm a member of the Silicon Beach crew. Just like you, I'm a founder who's at a stage in my development where I'm starting to look for investment myself. So this is a very timely sort of conversation for me to be having. I hope that we get some answers to some questions, and give you some ideas yourselves you maybe haven't thought of before. So to introduce the panel, on my left is Paul Barron. Paul is an advisor, consultant and startup investor. He's an enthusiastic Silicon Beacher as well. You'll see him at a number of Silicon Beach events. And you can see him at a lot of our co-working days chatting to early stage founders, which is very generous and thank you for your time for that. Next to Paul is Gillian City. Gillian is an agile project delivery professional and a self-confessed startup addict, which is a nice thing to have. And he's a member of the screening team who constitute the front door of Melbourne Angels. Alongside Gillian is John Bauer. John is a strategy consultant, an engineer and a chartered accountant by training. So a man of many talents right there. And has ability and experience to hone in on key value drivers in businesses. He's a strategic host, a coach and a facilitator to directors as well. And he's also on the screening committee for Melbourne Angels. So just a couple of things about Melbourne Angels. Can you just bring up, I should have brought up that slide before. These are people that I've just introduced you to, so we'll move on from there. So a little bit about Melbourne Angels. They do 20 plus investments a year, which is the most out of any group in Melbourne, is that right? Or in Australia?
Australia, yeah.
In Australia, so pretty impressive numbers. $3 million investments per annum. They have 80 plus proactive investors compromising part of the group. And there are 60 plus companies they've invested in with 11 pitch meetings a year. 500 individual investments, $24 million in direct investments, and $100 million in follow-on. These are all nice big numbers for, I can see everyone staring at those numbers. And the net result of that is it's created 500 new jobs and 6 exits. One of those is an ASX exit. So what we're going to do today is run through some questions that we're going to ask the panel, and we'll do a little bit of backwards and forth. If you've got some questions, we'll have a little bit of a question time at the end. Feel free to ask those then. But we might just start firstly with you, Paul. You've got the
companies.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Let's just bring this one up. This is a nice slide to have a look at. There's a few there that are on file. Rome to Rio, Mentaloop. They've been in the press quite a bit recently. These were companies that you were the first founders in?
Certainly,
I'm sorry, first, yeah.
John, hold up. Is this working?
Yeah, it's
So you were the first investors as angels into those companies?
I think they're all different. I mean, some of the guys, a lot of those I haven't invested in tragically, but you guys have, so you guys won on it.
You've got a there. All of these we've got an investment in. Members of Melbourne Angels have got an investment in, typically either in the first round and or maybe on the follow round as well.
Okay, so
I might talk to one of those, and that's GreenSync. So GreenSync raised on a value of about 1.8 million back in 2011. Now, so GreenSync, what they do is some software that balances off renewable power coming into the grid against traditional power sources. So it's a bit of software. It used to be a bit of hardware too. They've recently raised 20 million, right? So we're probably thinking of about, just guess, might be around 100 million at this point. Now that's 2011, it's 2019. Do you notice that it's a really long time? That is fairly typical. And if you looked at our earlier slide, we don't have a huge number of exits yet, but we've got a lot of companies still live. And if you contrast that with perhaps VCs need to get their money out and give it back within a fairly tight time frame. We invest really early, often pre-income. So we're in for a long game. Another one, Rome to Rio, really great company. I think they raised about 7 years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago with us. So these are we tend to be in for the long haul.
I suppose it's a truism that overnight success takes 10 years, doesn't it? It's not something that can happen straight away.
I think the other interesting point is that on all of these names up here, from the investment, a member of the Melbourne Angels group will have been either on the advisory board or on the board. This is active investment. We're not putting money into this, we're working with each and every one of these founders, different members of the Melbourne Angels team, but each one does have active support from the group.
So John, it's probably a good time to ask the question about what is an angel investor then? So what's the difference between an angel and a VC, for example?
I think when you're starting out, it's quite a daunting prospect. And you've got great ideas, you might have a strong understanding of the marketplace, you might have a strong understanding of the tech, you might have a strong understanding of what the need is. What is really important in our perspective is that you're surrounded by outstanding knowledge, outstanding support, and outstanding understanding. We bring that as well. So as an angel investor, we will not invest money only unless we believe the team and the support around the team is very strong. Typically, on that sheet, I think without exception, typically we have provided and we do provide that support, either as actively on the board or advisory or in some capacity. So an angel investor, a strong angel investor, provides expertise, provides skill, provides a sounding board to add value as you go through the journey and not money only. Because we don't believe we will get our best exit if we only provide the funding.
So, Gillian, so we get an idea of what an angel investor does. So it's some money, which is great, and some advice. What's the strength in having a cohort? Why Melbourne Angels is a group? What does that do that's different?
So the reason that I joined Melbourne Angels is I was very bad at being able to choose startups. I fell in love with it too quickly, and as a result of that, I would go all in and lose fair bit of money. And so why I joined Melbourne Angels was because I wanted to be able to spread cash over multiple areas, including areas that I didn't know about before. So when you're joining a group like the Angels, you can invest in biotech kind of or medtech type companies, but I have no background in that industry. So, but there are other people in the group who do. Not all Angels groups are organised the way that Melbourne Angels is. So with Angels for Melbourne, we all put in our own cash. So this is not money that we're investing on behalf of other people, it comes out of our own pockets. And we do it as individuals. So some angel groups, they have a pooling kind of arrangement and they put money into that and it comes out of the pool. That's not the way that we're particularly organised, so everyone makes their own choices.
And if I can add to that, it means that individual angels, typically we have a situation where we take ordinary shares within the company. Our term sheet usually requests that you create a class of ordinary share in your company, called an angel share, is that what we call it, John? And you might have a situation where you've got, say, 15 of us on your cap table, and we might have somewhere between $10,000 and $100,000 invested individually. So you've got a cohort of us, but you only have to deal with one of us. And I think, so sure we're resourcing you, but the other thing is we're not looking to take over your business. While we're there to support you, our job is also to get out of your way and let you be successful. So we have controls in place because we like to know how things are going, but we also hopefully are an enabling group that will give you the freedom to do stuff without being all over your business and try and reorganise the way you do things, even though we're giving some.
And that's something that you would be developing as you go too. You're learning with the other businesses, the hundreds of businesses that you're investing in.
I think so. And look, my own journey, I don't know everything about everything, got to say. And I found being an angel, I've learned a lot. And often our journey to investment is a lot unusual. For instance, I'm a board advisor and I've recently made an investment in a company that pitched to Melbourne Angels. They weren't successful in a sense, they didn't raise. They were sort of pre-MVP. But one of the angels took a really liking to them and he invested. And when I joined, he tapped me on the shoulder and said, mate, can you come in and be an advisor because you know about travel and digital and stuff like that. So I joined as an advisor and then later on I've now invested when the founder, she did a little local raise amongst us who are involved in the company. And so our journey as angel investors, we're all learning with you, by the way. And that's all kind of part of it. Some of us are really experienced. You know, John has been on the go for maybe a couple of years longer than me, and you've got a stronger investment background, haven't you, John?
Yeah, I mean, my background is a coach. I'm a strategic coach. I've been coaching corporates for years and years. But about 10 years ago, I realised that corporate life and corporate consulting wasn't where I had the passion. And the passion was actually to work with and help and guide, passionate individuals on the early stages of their life. And the feedback I get, and the feedback that I get from others, is that I actually am pragmatic, I'm pretty focused, but I enjoy working with you all to help clarify the problem you're trying to solve and the way you're going to go about doing it. And my experience is if you're crystal clear on who the customer is, which sounds really simple, crystal clear on who the customer is and crystal clear on what the problem is that you're trying to solve, that's a hell of a good start, right? And it, almost without exception, that's a challenge when I first started talking to startups. And I mean, to give you an example, there's a retail tech which I was working with not long ago. It already raised $1.5 million, $1.5 million, not $1 million. It was raising another $1 million. And over a coffee, I was questioning who the customer was and what the problem is they were trying to solve. And they were unclear. Right? They successfully raised $2.5 million, and they were unclear on what the problem was. So that hasn't gone too well since then.
So that's probably an interesting segue to the next question, which I've had a founder who I was interviewing as part of me learning a little bit more about the investment process. And he was, this person was post-Series A. And he'd said that originally when he was raising money, he thought that an investor would bring, the value that an investor would bring to the business was about 80% for the cash, about 20% for the advice. And he now believes that the value an investor, a good investor, brings to his company is 80% for the advice and 20% for the cash. So that sort of follows on. Is there something you can say on that topic about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more about having the right investor though. So you've got to find the right match for the business and make sure it's the investor that is going to be aligned with the values, aligned with the vision, is going to be able to work with you on a personal front as well as the professional front, the matching of the characteristics of the investor advisor that you have as the one delegate from the investment group from Angels is critical, because if you have a bad match, it's like any bad relationship, it can go really ugly really quickly. So spend the time to get it right.
So this is a two-way street, because you're talking about your business is going to be, say, 10 years minimum before you exit. So your investors are people that you have to work with for potentially a decade. So so a founder should be pretty picky about how they work with investors as well, rather than, I think, the traditional thing of if someone's prepared to give you money, you just bow and you say thank you and whatever they suggest you do.
The sort of sad stories really where in some ways some angel investors have sort of almost blown up businesses, through interfering. And we've got a code of conduct that we work with, things like that. We try to moderate each other's behaviour. We're 76 individuals, and so you'll meet an angel and you won't like him or her, and you meet another one and you'll think they're great. We're all individuals, and you'll often hear different perspectives. When we hear pitches, you hear a huge variety of levels of interest and passion about subjects. But often the advantage of working as a collective, that we also maybe moderate each other's baser instincts, if you know what I mean, I think.
Look up that list there. I personally invested in a couple of them, and I'll just use Veyron as an example. We as Melbourne Angels participated in 2 rounds on that, and there's a guy called Bill Greason he got the prize as last year the most prolific angel investor in the country. His name's Bill. He's a great guy. He's actually a Kiwi. And he is the chairman of Veyron. He's a prolific angel investor because he adds great value to the investments he's in. He's an active guy. He spends 80% of his life with his investors and with his investees. He's actively on that board and he's actively driving it through. He passionately knows the mining industry, which is the customer focus of that business. Bill is a great guy, highly experienced in that sector, and works brilliantly with the entrepreneurs. And I became part of that investment group because I knew Bill was taking the lead and Bill was going to add personal value to that business. I know the industry as well, hence the reason why I went into it. But that's a great example. Every other one on there, most of the angel investees who do invest on your own behalf, you put your hand up. So when you guys come to Melbourne Angels and pitch to 80 people, you're pitching individually to members in the group, and most of us will back a deal if we think the deal lead, who's going to be the daily face-to-face contact, is going to add significant value to that business. And that's why Bill's successful. Bill will be successful financially because he's adding a lot of value to the businesses, and Veyron would not be as valuable today, and it's now gone through a convertible note round, it's going through a Series A in the next few months. It would not have got that far without Bill as chair.
I suppose that for first-time founders, things like convertible notes, cap tables, how your shares work, dilution, all these things are brand new terms. Having angels help you through that process, who will have skin in the game because they're putting their own money in there. You're going to get good advice about what that looks like and how to set yourself up and make sure that you don't do a down round or don't mess up your cap table for future raises and all that sort of stuff. Is that fair comment?
Yeah, absolutely. And we find that having that early engagement with founders and saying these are the kinds of characteristics that we look for in businesses and the kind of dilution that we do want, like you want the owners and founders of the business to keep a certain minimum skin in the game, no matter how big the business gets in the future, because you want it to be the founder's baby ongoing and for them to love and care for it for as long as they've got it. But you also want them to be able to let go at the end, right? So you have to set up the business so that it's able to exit, because angels don't want to be hanging on to the businesses in 20 years' time. We're looking to be able to exit, in the 5 to 10 year range is when we're looking for an exit, and generally it's a trade sale. So going through into a listing and IPO is not generally the way that we see exits out of the companies businesses that we invest in. Normally you'll have a business that gets purchased by a competitor or a complementary business in the same industry. It's usually the consistency. But it's important to set up cap table and other structural components of your organisation in order to be able to support that.
So I'd like to ask about what good exit looks like in a minute, but I think we might start at the other end and say, so when's the right time for a startup to approach the angels? Whereabouts in your entrepreneurial journey, as we like to say, when do you knock on the door for
So
startup?
it can be slightly different for different industries. So we don't expect to see something that is in fintech industry where it's already got revenue. So we'll see those pre-revenue. But if you've got an app that you're developing and you don't have users yet, then you're too early for us. In terms of dollars that we normally look at, you would normally not come to us until after you've done your friends and family rounds, and so you'd be coming to us when you sort of had a minimum of 100k that you were raising, probably up to the 500 to a million. Beyond that, you're getting into venture capitalist territory. So we do like to see that you've got clarity around your customer base, that you've got clarity around your value prop, and you've got some kind of market data to confirm that the assumptions that you've made around what people pay for that value have been validated in some way. So we love founders being like irrationally optimistic, but we also like to see that you've done homework in terms of benchmarking and underpinning your assumptions in your growth by something that reflects some reality.
You must have customers that have told you, formally or informally, but you've collated it, that they will pay whatever you think you are going to ask them to pay for the service that you're going to offer to them. To do that, you must have clarity specifically on the problem that you're trying to solve, and they must have given you feedback that that specific solution will solve a major problem I've got, and I will pay you X dollars if you can solve that problem. You must have that. If you haven't got that feedback from the market, if you haven't got that feedback, life's going to be very hard. It's irrelevant whether you're making any money, it's irrelevant whether you're invoicing anybody, it's irrelevant whether you're actually at MVP at the moment, it's irrelevant. What is absolutely essential is you have asked a lot of people about whether they will pay money for the solution you've got, and you have thought through the business model as to how you're going to charge them. That's essential. I mean, I was talking about Aconex earlier on, right? They went through a number of iterations about how they were going to charge, but they had thought about it, right? And you can't come to an investor going, I don't understand the problem I'm solving, and I don't understand my business model I'm going to use. If you haven't got that, do your homework, get friends and family to pay you to do that if you need a bit of help, right? Do that, then you might be ready.
Look, I think about my investments, two of them are pre-revenue, but on the edge of revenue. So some people come to us with a great product, they think it's going to work, they need it to launch. One product is just about to launch in the US and they've just switched on the payment now. So just because you're pre-revenue doesn't mean you wouldn't invest. But other products, we're just seeing, for instance, a medtech product which has a proof of concept. It seems like a great idea, but they want us to effectively pay for the development of the product that can then be tested. And we kind of feel that's a little early for us. Though there's some debate even then to say, well, it seems like it might be a really good product, but then maybe the valve needs to be low, perhaps, to bring us in, because the risk is higher.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
The valuation, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the valuation might need to be low. We could probably have a long conversation about valuations. Let's do that. It always comes up because there is some really interesting stuff. We have a different perspective on valuations, which is about an investment. And I don't know if you want to be off that since I'm
Well, it's what I've heard then is really encouraging as a founder. There's not one fixed answer to how you approach this. So The question of when to knock on your door is possibly when you think you've got product market fit and a case study. I think that's maybe the thing that I'm hearing here. You don't have to have revenue, but you need to prove that you know your market, you've identified your market. There is a problem, a real problem that you're trying to fix, and there's potentially a market there that you can capitalise on.
And I think you need to have a plan. We want to know how you're going to spend your money and what the possible futures look like. There needs to be thought behind it, as much evidence and data that you can possibly get, rather than just, we'll get passionate about it, but data, thinking, forecasts, a team, not just you. People, the solo founder for me is a big risk. What happens if they get run over by a bus? To be honest, a couple, for some angels, and I'm one of them, one of the first angels I met said she never invests with couples because they tend to get divorced through the startup process. So, when we go through our due diligence, one of our due diligence processes really is thinking about the relationship between the founders. That's a separate issue. So I would say I love people who are teams more than individuals who are absolutely brilliant, because teams mean they'll get more support internally. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah.
Things like that. We can talk a lot about the pre-existing.
Yeah, the thing that I love about having more than a single founder is that they've bounced their ideas off another human being to get them validated before they come to us.
So, so we might come back on that one because there's a couple of interesting things there. But we talked before about the business value. So I've seen all sorts of wild ways to go to the business. Identify the TAM, the total addressable market, market growth, all those sort of things. When you're looking at the numbers, what tells you that the person who's presenting has a reasonable grasp of what they're talking about? What are you looking for when you get that?
So we've got a good idea, we've talked to some customers, we're pretty clear about what the problems we're trying to solve, and now we've got a bit of a plan. Okay? It's around risk of execution. And angel investors like taking a risk. But we want a bit of a plan to show that you guys have thought through how the hell you're going to make this work. And the clarity of that plan, and we quite accept pivot's fine, but we want a bit of focus and a bit of clarity. Clarity of that plan and the likelihood of success drives valuation. And the fewer runs you've got on the board, and the earlier you are, and the robustness or otherwise of a bit of a game plan over the next 2 to 3 years will drive you back. Okay? If you want guidance, the key philosophy of angel investing is we want to have an influence. And we want to have an influence to help you drive that. The earlier you are, the more valuable that influence, and therefore the lower the valuation. Okay? If you want a rule of thumb, we're probably after 10 to 20% of the equity. It's that sort of rule of thumb. So if you're after 100 grand, it'll be $1 million. And you start to say, well, that maybe is a bit low. If you're after 200 grand, well, the value will be in the range of 1.5 to 2.5, if you want a bit of a guidance, There's no hard and fast rule, but we want influence because we believe the influence we can provide to you will drive the business.
I've really got into valves because I've struggled. But here's a great way of thinking. Do you think you'll only raise once? No, you're not going to raise once, right? So you're going to, hopefully, every time you raise, you're raising a higher valuation. And so here's perfection, right? We invest in businesses that we hope will double in value every year. So imagine you come to us. Forget the business. Forget even the arguments about why it's valuable. Just from a pure investment perspective, I'm going to say your business is worth 1.6 million. And because you need, guess what? You need 400K. That's your need, right? So let's imagine that that's the proposition. And so we give you 400K. We like that to be an 18-month runway. 12 months down the track, you know you're going to have to raise again, and we hopefully know that. It would be normal, if you're on the growth path, let's be really lucky, you're going to want to, to go overseas. So chances are this time, so you've given, say, 20% of your business to us for 400,000. So that's a post-money value of 2 million. You've got to check my maths on these. So next time you raise, you're raising on, guess what? Double the valuation, 4 million. And again, 20% of the business, because you want, well, this time you're going overseas, you need 800K. Fine, super. You're giving away another 20% of the business. You guys still have 60%, well, sort of close to that. On a 4 million value, guess what? From in a cash sense, we're not really diluted because the value of the company's up. So from starting off from a low valuation, next time your valuation might be 4 million, next time, guess what? You're going overseas further, you need 2 million. But guess what you're raising on the block, double again, an 8 million valuation. You still have, at an 8 million valuation raising 2, you've probably still got control of your business. We're not massively diluted in terms of a cash sense. And everybody's happy. Now, you started low, you're going up high. If you get it down round, it absolutely kills your equity as a founder. I won't go and explain down that, maybe John can. But it's massively painful. And so when you see a first-time founder come in with a $5 million valuation, my heart falls, because I don't know how we're going to go through a few rounds like that and have doubling every year and then taking more money and it not ending up in some crappy place. Does that make sense to you? John, do you want to tie into... Sorry, it's hard stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a progression. This is from my heart and from your heart, right? We do not want to see a challenge. We do not want to see or perceive to have failed. We want to see progression, and it is much, much easier, from a very personal perspective as an investor, very personal perspective from you, to see steady progression. If you start too high and you have a challenging year and you don't quite hit the milestones you reckon you were going to hit after a year, after 18 months, and from an external perspective you haven't really moved forward very far, people then go, but they haven't progressed. How can they expect to double the valuation of that business? How can they? And then doubts start to set in your mind and in the current and the potential investor's mind. Much better from everyone's very personal perspective, right? To go, no, we're steadily tracking along here and we are hitting the doubling every 18 months. Much better from your personal perspective. So therefore, if you start off at, I'm a 5 mil val today, and what have I got? I got, got a scribble on the back of a paper in a cafe, right? I'm a 5 mil. Guess what? When you haven't done a lot in 18 months, or you've got a little bit of the way in 18 months, it's not going to be worth 10 mil. So you will not have done your doubling. So the rule of thumb is aim to double every 18 months. And that will satisfy what you want to achieve and the investment.
There's a handy chart on the internet, I'll put a link on this meetup, that shows how your initial founding is set up, who owns what percentage, and then what the value is, what you're looking at raising, and it shows you what the dilution looks like. And you also get the value, so you see that the 60% is still worth twice as much as it was when you won 80%. And it sort of helps get that in your brain. It's been a really handy tool for me, so I'll pop that up for people.
I'm just going to say, yeah, that 60% slide, but by the time you raise it the third time, the valuation's gone up. Your first 20% is pretty much quadrupled already. So it works in both favors, because the founder's working towards a higher valuation, which will increase your first fourfold, your second twice as much, and then your third one comes in. Just talking about valuations, do you guys obviously with pre-revenue, is it based on just cash flow forecasts or different markets? What if a different market opens up completely?
I'm going to jump in. So I quite frequently, when I'm having a look at potential investments, I look at what I've invested in previously. Oh, great. Okay. So basically, talking about looking at valuations and how we do some assessments of those, and particularly if it's pre-revenue, correct? I'll just have a bit of a chat. You can see where we're at, and that price can clean up. So the way that I can look at it is I go, I've invested in this particular business, and why do I like that? I like it because I can see from the track record that they've had over the past 6, 12, 18 months that the projections that they're putting into their cash flow forecasts and their financial forecasts are reasonable and realistic. And they're not trying to say that they're going to go from a standing start with 0 customers to $1 million per month, and because they've got no benchmarking and their assumptions are wildly optimistic. And so what they've got is something that actually makes sense as far as going, yes, that's achievable, and we're able to have a plan that supports it, and then the cash request supports the plan that underpins the numbers. So you're looking for the logical flow of activity that supports the outcome, and then the outcome supports the valuation for me. And so the last one that I did due diligence on, it was a $2.5 million from memory, and they had trailing 12 months revenue of over $250K. So that gives you a kind of finger in the air of that's one example of the type of business that comes through the Angels front door. So if you've got an app that has been developed over the past 4 months that is a great concept, but is a short, sharp land grab, and it's likely to have its land taken over by somebody else in a very short space of time because somebody else can copycat pretty quickly afterwards, it's not going to have the same valuation as something that's actually got some intellectual property that's been protected and cash flow that supports that as a value proposition from real life customers. So it's very much a horses for courses there. I'm not sure that I answered the question directly.
I don't think, here's the thing. So, yes, I get the sense that you said, well, okay, we're already up to 3 times our money once we've done a third raise, but we're being diluted. So our percentage of the total company is reduced as investors. But from a cash perspective, we're no worse off. Does that make sense?
Your percentage wouldn't necessarily change if you've taken it to 20% equity. Anyways, my question is more, let's say, for example, if the founder's pretty astute financially, and we sensitizing the numbers, we go 60%, 40%, 20%, let's say. The sensitized data, instead of diluting the equity, would there be benchmarks set for equity on sensitized data at a certain percentage rather than diluting it again?
Well, we all get diluted. When we raise, we all get diluted, right?
Yeah.
So the 20% that we put in when you raise again gets diluted every time. But you get diluted, we get diluted, right? Yeah,
20%.
That's right. So the values double, and it makes the dilution less painful, if you like. And look, we were trying to we want a 10x exit. Why? Not because we're greedy, because we get so many failures. We need you to be really successful, and so we can get 10 times the amount. Because guess what? Our last 6 investments have all failed recently, and our 4 left. We're rather hoping that a few of them are going to do all right.
So it's one in 10 does 10x, 1 does 1x, and 8 fails, something like that.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
And it's a risk. Right? We like to back you guys to have a crack at it. The fact that you're having a crack at it at a very risky journey in life is what we love. But it's a risk. And the stats say that 1 in 10 will be successful. If we could all be an 8 at X, hey, we'd all be doing all right. But in reality, that's not the case. Okay.
We've got just a couple of questions I'd like to get through before we open up the floor. So, do Melbourne Angels prefer to lead the investment?
Good question.
I'm here to ask the good questions.
Melbourne Angels can do 2 things. We can lead or we can follow. we will make a decision as to whether we would like to lead or we would like to follow after having been through the deal with you and after understanding the level of interest in the group. Categorically, we add value when we work with you. That means when we lead the deal, and others may wish to follow with us. So our categorical first objective is to work with you and lead the deal with you. And if we need to invite other angel networks from around the country in with us to raise the sufficient money, great. If, and it's happened to me a couple of times recently when I've been screen lead, if we get to the point where we go, there's insufficient interest in the group to lead it, but there's some people in the group that would potentially like to follow if they can find someone else to lead, because leading takes shit ton of work. Okay? If there's two or three of us that are interested in a particular deal, but we'll like to follow, then we'll follow. So, for example, it could be led out of Brisbane, it could be led out of Geelong, it could be led out of Perth, and two or three of us might piggyback on the back of that. But leading takes effort, leading takes enthusiasm, leading takes time, and we would rather do that if we're passionate about the deal and passionate about working with the entrepreneur.
Can you just briefly cover the activities involved in leading?
Right, so the general process that we have is you have the initial screening pitch, which is generally around the 5-minute mark, where you come through to, before you even get to the screening pitch, actually, let me back up. You hit the front, knock on the front door, and one of people who are involved in the screening team start having a bit of a chat with you about whether your business is at the level of maturity that you would normally be considered to be appropriate for angels to be able to have a look at. So have you got the traction so far? Have you got product market fit? Do you know what your business is? That kind of thing. And once we've actually determined that you've got your core information has got the appropriate maturity of thinking behind it, we're then at the stage to be able to go come on in and have a 5-minute. So we have monthly meetings, and at those monthly nights we have a combination of sort of 5-minute-ish screening pitches and 10-minute-ish deal pitches with some time for Q&A, and then we give feedback to the founders afterwards. And once you've got through the screening pitch, there's then an assessment to say, do we lead or do we follow? And it depends on where the deal has come from. So if we find that there is enthusiasm from a couple of people in the group, but it's not enough for all of us to devote our time into, because we're all doing this voluntarily, this is not something we get paid to do. So it depends on who's got time and energy and who's falling in love with the deal and with the business. We'll then invest in coaching to be able to support the deal pitch and making sure that the numbers make sense and going through the standard terms and conditions that we would have as part of the shareholders agreement, getting a grip on the valuation, whether or not that makes sense, understanding the team in a lot better detail, because the team is a critical component, more so than the concept of the business. It's actually whether or not people are going to be able to execute. It's all about execution risk. And then once we've got to that stage, we then go to the deal pitch. And at that stage, if there's sufficient interest from the group and we're prepared to lead, we'll go into due diligence. Now, due diligence is not like a random vampire process. We ring up your end customers and make sure that they're happy. We ring up your suppliers and make sure that they're happy with you. We make sure that you're doing business professionally, even if it's been sort of like bootstrapping. Are you a good human being to be doing business with? Because we're assessing you, and you should be assessing us to see whether we're a good fit for a 5 to 10 year relationship. This is not a short term. And then once we have, if we're syndicated in with other angel groups, you only have to do the due diligence once. So you go with one angel group. So I've just finished one recently where we were doing a jointly with Brisbane, but it came from a Perth deal. And so what you do is you go through all the background information and checking out to make sure that you've got all your financials up to date, all your T's across, all your I's are dotted, and make sure that you're going into something with eyes wide open.
So the leader agrees the terms, the leader manages due diligence, the leader will provide the contact. That's the fundamental difference between the two. And so, as you imagine, that's a lot of work. Pre-screen I've got 2 live examples at the moment. One came to us 10 days ago. I was allocated it last Thursday. We radically changed the pitch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they pitched last night. Quick. Right? Because I made the call that they were ready to pitch if we changed the pitch. I've got one which I was allocated 9 months ago. I've made the call that they will be able to pitch when they're ready. So I haven't rejected them. They're still not ready. So I'm coaching them, and we're going to get there in the next couple of months. Okay? So from a relationship point of view, right at the front, it can be very quick, it can be supportive and ongoing, until we reach a decision.
What about the relationship with the other investors, the other investment pool? I'm assuming you don't underwrite the round.
So when we lead a round, we set the terms, we set the shareholders agreement, we carry out the DD. Others, if they choose, can come in on that round on the basis of our terms, on the basis of the support we are providing to the entrepreneur, and on the basis of the DD we are doing. So you have one point of contact with the leader of the round. Fundamental for you, otherwise it's a complete pain in the ass. Yeah? So if someone else wants to come in, say for Brizzy, on the Melbourne Agent deal that Paul is the deal lead on, your contact is with Paul, you almost won't see or speak to someone out of Brizzy that chooses to follow Paul as a deal lead. You've got one point of contact. Otherwise, for you, it becomes unbelievably hard and complicated.
But you will need to pitch, I'm telling everyone. So if we're syndicating it with other angels, you need to go to their meetings and pitch so that they can see you. But you don't need to go through, you only need the one due diligence.
So we're almost out of time. We haven't had much of an opportunity for folk from the floor. Are you guys going to be able to hang around for a little bit of time to talk? One of the things I will point out is there's a pile of information on the Melbourne Angels website about certain things that you need to be aware of what the process looks like. There is a discussion about NDAs, and everyone's nodding their heads and rolling their eyes in the back. About what angels like to do with NDAs, and they basically don't. If they're not in the business of pitching your idea and creating their own startup, they're looking at other things. So there's this discussion about how to approach the Angels Network. This process here, I think this slide's on your website, isn't it? I saw a few people take photos of it. I hope this has helped frame some of the things that you need to think about when you first approach angels, when you're starting to look for investment. The angels are here to take some questions from you directly as well. I'd just like to thank MYOB for giving us this beautiful space and taking over when the staff are trying to get in here as well. And we just a quick word, sorry, from Atula as well, from Silicon Beach. Atula, if you'd like to jump up.
Thanks, John. And thanks everyone for coming. My name is Abdullah, the lead organizer of Melbourne Silicon Beach. First of all, thanks to all the angels who are here, and John, one of our founders. And special thanks to MYOB. They have sponsored us financially and also given us this space, absolutely free of charge. Fantastic space and fantastic people at MYOB. Basil, who's standing there, didn't even want to say anything. So we'll be having monthly these events. So mark in your calendars second Thursday of every month morning. Set your alarms on your smartphone to go off at 5 o'clock in the morning on the second Thursday of every month. In the coming months, we plan to actually cross live to San Francisco, Silicon Valley, London, and wherever it's daytime. At this time of the morning, we can't do that in evening events. That's the reason for morning. We plan to introduce Australian launching pads, landing pads, all over the world now happening. So our mission is empowering founders. So this is one way. So thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thanks,